Doing a little restoration of these Boss mixers. Basically I had this one and they're great, they sound really great. I mean, even people like to use it as an effect because it's got such a really dirty kind of overdriven sound. When you drive it really hard, it just sounds incredible. You use it a lot on that kind of like 90s surgeon techno sound, you know, like a really distorted hard kick drum, you know, this kind of sound. But they're also quite useful little mixer if you don't overdrive it. You know, they are noisy, but this one's really good. It's got a headphone output, which this one, the bigger one, doesn't have. So yeah, the headphone output is really useful. It was working with the battery, but now I don't know why it's not anymore, because like nothing changed, but everything went a little bit weird. The LED fell off and I put it back together, but it's not having it with the battery anymore. So I'll come back to that, but it's working great now. What I did was, these get really noisy, and by that I mean they just get loads of crap stuck in these pots. And these, because they're like mid-80s at least, and these are kind of like, they're sealed, they're little, you can see them in here with the long shaft. Oh, there you can see one, look. So they're just a little box, you know, you can't, there's nothing to squirt in like the bigger ones. See the bigger one there, you can, there's 3 legs just on the side that's facing us. You can squirt stuff in there and clean it, but it's better to soak them really. So anyway, I tried it with this one first just to see. So I desoldered a couple of them, then just soaked them. Not even that long, like a few hours though, and then give it a good shake, and then I soldered it back in and soldered in one channel just to see does that make a difference. And wow, yeah, there's no noise, all of the crap just comes out of them, and you can maybe see it in the water, but it's just swimming around with these loads of little particles. As soon as they go in, just loads of crap comes out into it. It's like absolutely clear, and then just swimming with liquid. Let's turn my coffee off. So yeah, it was just an amazing success. So I thought I'd try it on this one first because I get more use out of this one. I got this one much later, but this one I use it a lot. With the battery function, it's even more useful, so I'll have to try and reinstigate that at some point. But yeah, so it'll take 12 volts as well, even though it's only for 9. And I've adjusted the circuit inside so that it's tip positive. I can't stand tip negative, nothing. I've got set Boss stuff. So I've changed it on the inside, so I can use basically any power adapter up to 12 volts. So yeah, they sound great. There's no crackling at all now. Every channel was like so you can leave it where it was and that was okay, but if you wanted to adjust it, it just made this horrendous crackling noises on all of them, literally all of them. And here's the pan pot, and it's got a centre detent, so it's all noise builds up around that centre detent because all of the crap stops there because there's a little ridge. And at the outsides, they all do that though, at each outside, but not anymore. You're soaking them. So pull them out, desolder them, soak them in some 90% or more alcohol. I use this sort of desoldering station because it's, even for just these, it's, you know, 13 of them, you know, just for a small one like that. But because it worked so well, I decided to do it with this one, which is a bit bigger, because this was like even worse. Just crackle central as the whole thing. It's got an effect send and return, which is quite nice as well. And it's got, which I already worked on, a little AC supply. So I already recapped this maybe like 2 years ago or something, just because I had them laying around and there was only a few. So I thought, yeah, just do it now. So yeah, I've not really used it that much, but yeah, with this one, just while I'm at it, I'm just gonna desolder these and wash these as well with alcohol and then contact cleaner. It's better wash them first and then a little bit of contact cleaner just to, you know, just help them along and get a bit dry. But the fader lube is really good. So once I finish soaking these, I'll just keep coming back to it, shaking it every now and again and looking against the light and marvelling about how much crap is in there. Then I'll like drain them and then I'll spray some fader lube into this the hell is this? A jar. And then, so there's no alcohol in there anymore. I'll just spray a good bit in there, and then I'll like gently sort of swoosh them around in it. So I don't fill it with it, that would cost a fortune, but just spray a good bit in there. And those big ones, you can spray it right in them because they've got that access point, but the others, yeah, you just sort of, you know, a small amount in there. You can see like a, you know, maybe a bit on the bottom of liquid fader lube, and you just sort of gently turn them around in it, and it goes in them, and it sits in there, and it goes inside, it penetrates them. Even the ones that look like they're totally sealed, it's still, like that one, it still makes it in there. And then yeah, it'll be working fucking great, and you got to solder them all back in, of course, so it is quite some desoldering. But it's a relatively simple fix, you don't have to replace them, you know, they're fine, they're just dirty. Like really dirty. So yeah, it's great. I mean, the same with these, I know that the jacks on this one are okay, so I'm not going to do that, but this one, yeah, look, you can see I've cleaned it all off there now, it's just drying with alcohol. Just rinsed it with some alcohol so it's just drying there, but I'm going to desolder all of those. It's actually quite easy, and then put it back on. But there's, look, there's this shield, and somebody's obviously spilt some Coca-Cola, either that or Guinness, but I strongly suspect Coca-Cola on that, and that took the brunt of it, I think. So that was like on here, so it's a shield for humming. So that's had a wash now, it's getting dry. It won't really come off that, it's just changed the colour of the copper. But yeah, that made the pots where it had been spilled, these pots were really hard to get off. So that's just having a drip dry now, and then yeah, once it got it back in there, it'll just be like the same mix, but like, yeah, brand new again, you know. It's almost unusable with the noise. I mean, it's never going to be like a Calrec or something. It's, you know, they're a character mixer, that's all. But you want to be able to actually use it, you know, without just like, oh, don't touch any of the settings, you know. And yeah, it's got a little mono send and a, oh yeah, mono send and stereo return, but you can have it coming back in as mono if you want, if you just use that one. Separate left and right outputs. Now, because this is from the 80s, they didn't really, they'd lumped outputs there, and I suspect that they had that because then they didn't have to use a different pot, they could just use the same all the way down and just have two mono. This one is a stereo one, and that's different, it's a different pot to these. It's a little, you know, more pins. These have a sensor detemp, so you know which one's which. I kind of hope they're the same. I didn't really see any markings, but I'll test them out, and maybe I could go back in there and check that gain one, because that'll probably be the same. The pan one's easy to identify, but yeah, the other one, probably should have checked that on the way out, but I'll be able to puzzle it out, and if they're all the same, happy days. So yeah, anyway, yeah, it's gonna look really good. This is a proper dust trap, but I think it's like a, I think it's metal, I think it's a heat sink for that. So underneath the transformer there, you see, to generate most of the heat. Oh, it's not metal, but I think that is what it's for. Like a radiator. So yeah, if you've got one of these, I can recommend doing this, because as I said, it is a little bit of work, but it's easy, you know, it's not complicated. You don't have to buy anything, you know, you can do it with alcohol and whatever fader lube you've got, you know. It's great, really great, it really gives it another, I mean, yeah, it's totally giving it a new lease of life. Continuing my refurb of this Boss mixer, I've realised that I have this, which is a snap-in model. There's no fastenings on either side, which is nice, because look at that, it'll fit in there, because it does take mains power, and I never see those little, you know, the little 8 style ones that they used to have on little tape recorders and stuff. I never really see those, you know, for chassis mount. Tends to be just a PCB mount, so yeah, there's just enough room to put that in there, so I'm going to put that in there. I must have replaced this power switch the last time I had it, because they didn't make them like that. Definitely not. They always had a blank one, must have replaced that. But yeah, this is because it has to be high. Look, there's the hole, so you're gonna have to, you know, make the hole here so it's like quite high. So then, yeah, being as it's up there, whoop, then there will be enough room to clear that fuse. And yeah, I'm going to do that because it can only be up to, you know, up to there. So it'll definitely go over where the fuse is because it's not going to come in that far anyway. It's only going to come in roughly. You know, so it'll be like hanging up above, just above the fuse basically. So I'll put some heat shrink on those anyway, and I'll fasten this middle pin to one of these metal posts on the, what is it called, transformer. So it will have like a grounded connection as well. There's not much metal on the case, that's pretty much the only metal on the case. Unless that gives a load of noise on the outputs. I have had that before. I just disconnected it then. So I think that was an Akai S700. I like put a 3-pin power inlet on there, and then it was like, yeah, just made a load of fucking noise all over the sampling, so I had to take it off. Should be alright though. I don't think that that's connected to the, you know, the ground here. I think it was just this, you know. So yeah, I'm going to get on with that because flying leads, I just can't stand them. They just look so unchic as well, you know. So yeah, I managed to clean that up really nice. I got rid of the, it's looking a bit chewed on down here, but whatever. An improvement's an improvement, isn't it? So it'll definitely be an improvement without a flying fucking lead. So here we go. First I'm going to unscrew that. Take those off the circuit board. Right, yeah, a little tip for that in case you need one. Pull them out while they're still attached. Don't clip them off and then try and desolder it because you just get stuck and just keep moving around in there. Heat this up and pull that with some pliers as it's warming up, and it'll just pull it out. Sometimes they wrap it around a few times, but it does look like they've just got one wrap on those two anyway. So yeah, just pull it while it's hot and it'll just come out, and then you're not left with a gammy bit of wire, like, you know. Or if you need to cut it to do some more work, just give yourself a bit to pull on, you know, later, like so. Run this in there. So now you can take that out, you know which one was which for reference as well later, and then you can just pull on that with some pliers while you're heating it up and just pull it out of the socket or eyelet or whatever that way, you know. So, yeah, there's a couple of posts in the back there that I'm going to have to come off as well, but that's okay, easily done. It's plastic, so really easy to work with. So there we go, a slightly comical angle, but not bad at all really. There's a very limited space in there, and once it's gone to that angle you've got no hope of turning it back. You try turning it around as well, it wouldn't go the other way either. I just, you know, butchered it until it was big enough to go in. I'll put some black glue around it. So this construction glue, it's great. It's really great, it's really strong. Let's put a bit of super glue in there as well just to get it going. I'm going to put a little bit on the top of that switch there as well, some left over. So yeah, nicely out of the way of the fuse. It's just as safe as it was before. I've got this, made a green one for the ground, I don't have a ground cable at the moment. So I'll put a little eyelet thing and then fasten it around on one of them screws. So yeah, really happy with that. It's kind of a bit hard to see what's going on in there, but it's all, you know, it's sealed up, and you can change the fuse easily, you know, nothing's touching, they're all insulated anyway. I like to do that, can make it safe, you know, so they can't touch each other, but you can't touch them if you have to go in there and change the fuse, for instance, and you've forgotten that it's still plugged in, you know. Yeah, so happy with that because I didn't think I was going to be able to manage that, but you never really see the back anyway. Like that, you know. It's funny when you have a real big power socket on something that's actually quite small. Just funny, you know. But yeah, there is enough space in there because it's a real shallow one, you know. Often they go back a longer way and then you won't be able to. Nah, you kind of would. You got a bit more space, but still it's tidy like that. Because I don't want to make it electrically unsafe, you know, just for the sake of having not a flying lead. So, I mean, there might be some electrical codes that say that that's not okay, but you know, I'm all insulated up, you know, I'm going to connect my ground. Don't see a problem there. It's a little bit tight together maybe, but nothing's able to touch. It's all insulated. Each one's insulated, you know, so there we go, happy with that. So I'll let that sit there and go off. Drying out after the wash, much needed. First one in 40 years. Yeah, so look at these. Wow, I mean that was clear when it went in. God, it's like a muddy puddle. Amazing. So yeah, we've got a few more of these. And then that'll be good too. The next step in the refurbish restoration. These are what alcohol that these are in was so dirty that I actually gave them a second dunking in some clean, so I got rid of the old stuff and put some clean in, and then now they've finished in that now, so they're good. Now I've put the jacks in. And now I've used that stuff that the second one of these came from because that's okay, you know. Just cleaned this up as well, and see there's a little bit of corrosion still on these two, although I've wiped it off now. But if it comes back in before I put it all back together, I'm just going to replace these wire links. I think there's another couple. Just have a close inspection there because the Coca-Cola had gone kind of like a little bit here, what sort of splashes in different places. But yeah. Anyway, it's gone for now. I scratched off again, but it came back really quickly, so probably better off just to replace them with a piece of wire in it. So they can just be in there. They don't have to be in there all that long. It's just the jacks. It just gets really right inside them, you know, which you can't really do. You spray contact cleaner on stuff. Apparently, it's actually quite bad for stuff long term. I mean, the cake stuff, yeah, I don't know, I've always had good results with it, but yeah, apparently long term it'll, you know, can destroy the jacks and stuff like that. So just spraying it in there and leaving it, you know, just how it gets them all gummed up and not really that good. So yeah, I don't really know what these are like because I'm not that familiar with this mixer, so you know, when I'm already desoldering to this level, I may as well do those two. It was pretty easy actually to get them all out. There's quite a few of them though, you know, like 6 channels, 2 out, well, a left and a right, and a left and a right return on the send, and there's quite a few jacks. Right, so now let's put these back into there, and they've had a bit of a drain into this bit of paper, save the kitchen work surface. So yeah, this board, I washed it with some alcohol, let it drain, and then I washed it again with some water, so to make sure it's fully dry before I reassemble it, but it's almost fully dry already. Just been working on it with the soldering iron, and yeah, that heats it up obviously. So yeah, now it's in the other room. What I'm going to do with this is basically just the ones where I can actually spray it into. I want to spray it into these are all like really clean on the side. So it's mostly for the inside. But yeah, if I had an ultrasonic cleaner, it'd be good because it would get rid of stuff like that as well. I'll just give these another wipe before I put them in there. And yeah, perhaps these two. Anyway, I'll spray it into that, you know, the space just under the leg there, if you're not familiar with it. And yeah, then I'm just going to put them all in there and then just kind of hose them down a little bit, you know, and you get like a little bit in the bottom really, you don't want that much, but we've got to hose them down and then just turn it over a few times, you know, not as aggressively shaking it as with the, when it's in fully submerged, but just turning it around and it all works its way into the things. But yeah, I'm going to give them a bit of a, just a bit of a wipe first, because they could look a little bit cleaner on some of the bodies. So, especially that one. So I'm just going to do that. These are the ones I use. I mean, there are other ones, but these are the ones I use. Great, that's for the faders and pots. And anything conductive plastic, and that's just for switches. So I won't be able to get it in those while I'm filming it, but I'll just put these in. Give it a little bit of a spray. Actually, I'll come back in a second. So they're in there now. You can see that there's a bit of liquid on the bottom, so I just sort of, this is what I did with the other one. I've got a bit more liquid in this one because there's so many of them, but I just sort of turn them around like that every so often, and it'll just, you know, it'll find its way over them and into these cracks. But it worked well with the other one, so yeah, I'll just give that some time now. And then they'll be soaked as well then, getting any crap off the inside of those, which there probably is quite something. So I was like, I can't believe how much stuff came out of the pots on that first flush, shall we call it. Unbelievable almost, like. It was like good grey water, and if you looked closely you could just see this just maelstrom of little tiny pieces knocking around. It's like, no wonder it sounded terrible. All in the audio path, you know, everything. So yeah, now they're just gonna bathe in that conductive plasticky goodness. Just roll them around like that. And then it just, you know, it changes direction and then just drip in different directions, and then the different ones will be on the top. And then yeah, got to solder it all back in. That's kind of easy though, they're just all big components, you know, and just get plenty of stuff on. I'm just looking at these legs and that. I see looking extremely black. Maybe I'll have to desolder that. I'll look at it, or maybe it just went by. Oops. I mean, it works okay, so I don't think it's, I know if it's going to go, it's going to go. I'm not going to replace it until it goes. You know, you'll notice when it's gone, like, because it'll be like either no left or no right. But yeah, I'm not doing a full restore of this one. Just the easy stuff that's making it sound bad right now. You know, it's like it's not worth it to fix those other things until they actually go. You know. I mean, there's only a handful of capacitors on there, you could recap it, but these will be fine. They're tiny. They'll be totally fine. Right, I'm ready to solder everything back in again. The pots, yeah, there was different values. However, because I had the other mixer, I was able to check what value the gain one was, so that's about 100k, and the ones I had was 100k, so I put them in a gain, which left the other ones for the effect, and the pan pot's obvious because it has the centre detent. The other ones I had 6 all the same, so that was obviously the input channels. Then I had 2 and 2 the same, so then the effect and the audio output. So kind of took a guess, and with the master output, the left and right, it's like it's an audio pot, but the same as all of the inputs. So like they're 10 kB, and then the output is 10 kA, and then the effect return is like 250 kA. So I don't think that the audio want to be so different to the input one, you know, so that was my, that's the only one where I had to kind of guess really. But I'm just going to solder in the pins, and then if I have to change it, it's easier. I won't solder in the anchors until I know that I've got it right, because if it sounds weird or, you know, whatever, there's like tons of gain on one and not on the other, then I'll know what's going on there, because the other ones, yeah, I could figure out which one's which by just measuring them with a multimeter, because I had one to check it against, you know. I knew you could have smoothed it out a bit more and gone, well, 100k is kind of line level, you know, like 10 to 100k. So when you turn the pot to the minimum, then it's 100k resistance, and that's line level gain, roughly, you know, in this device anyway. And when you turn it to the top, it's like really low resistance for the mic, you know, so it's allowing more power to go through it. So yeah, the other one being 50k, yeah, I probably would have gone with that one more for the effects send, you know. But anyway, we'll see. They're all good now anyway, except possibly those two audio ones. So I'm just going to solder them all in, and I've got that. This is like a separate board, and it joins on by a little thing. So I've got it set on this, and they'll all be the same height then. Probably going to glue a piece of plastic all along the top side of these, and it gives them more strength individually because they don't have any strain relief on the case, and then any strain goes in. But if you like just glue a bar down all together, then they all sort of share the strength of the bar and each other, you know, so it's what just spreads the load. It's pretty much one way you can do it without putting it on the case. Right before I soldered these in, if you remember I was saying I didn't know exactly which to put in for the level output and the effects return, because I just totally forgot to look at any of them when I took them out, but I figured it all out from, yeah, just what they are. Yeah, there's 6 of those, and the pan pots are obvious, and then I measured this, the gain of the one for the gain on here, because it's the same range, it's the same range of mixer. So then I found out what gain was, and I thought, oh wait, I could do that for the output as well. So it does have a different output, this one. Remember I was saying before, it's got a stereo, but it's the same range, so I mean same range of mixer, so it's the same pot. They're like 10k down there as well. So I had picked the right one based on what the channel ones were. So then these are similar, but it's a different curve, because this is for the level, so it's not in decibels. I thought that it would be, to be honest, being a channel level, but they're not. They're B, unless they're weird labelling and I don't understand. But yeah, these ones are A, so that's an audio taper, so they've got to be A, otherwise it won't work. But yeah, so anyway, I measured the other one, and now I like, yeah, my guess is correct. So that's nice now, because I can just solder it all in. I don't have to stop and do a little test, you know, before I finalise those, because that's always a little bit like, I mean, you'll do it, it's better than fastening it in really securely and then it's like, oh no, it's the wrong one, you know. If there's any doubt, you need to do that, but it's nice to know up front, yeah, they are the right ones, so it's good. So yeah, I'm going to solder them in today, and then that'll be finished. There we go, resoldered all of those back in now, all of those basically. The LED kind of, I don't know, I think it just cracked the original legs, the soldering anyway, and to solder that back in. And there was a little bits that needed a little touching up, so I did it again. But yeah, I washed it yesterday, so it's nice and clean. I mean, I still got to test it, but I'm hoping it's going to be all fine, because everything's connected. And yeah, so there you go, to solder the shield onto the ground point there. Some of that was corroded from whatever Coca-Cola got spilled on it, so I made it short to cut that corrosion off. That's soldered on fine now. Here's the power connections from coming from the PSU. Normally they would go from the other side, but it doesn't really matter as long as you've got a nice solid connection and they don't short anything on the other side. It was easier to do it like this because it's a bit fiddly to get that to sit back in right with all of those pots on there, you know, and all of the jacks as well, which is presumably why they made it flexible because it's too difficult to get it in otherwise. You can see that they do sit at a slightly different angle to do just straight in, you know. So yeah, we can test it now. I'm happy with that. Quite a nice, easy little thing, and although that was only a little bit of work, and I did clean up the outside of it before. This is the best bit. So we've got this, which is at a slightly funny angle, isn't it, as I saw before, but whatever. New power switch. Everything, all of the mechanical stuff's been taken out, cleaned, resoldered back in, which in these it is important because they do get little micro cracks just from taking it in and out. That's the thing with these, you have to service it like that. All the things taken out and cleaned, all of the manoeuvrable conductive plastic. The screen was cleaned, and the shield is cleaned, put back in, recapped. It doesn't have a new fuse, but I think that's okay. There's no problem with it anyway, you know. So. I have had some weird stuff with fuses recently. So now I just have to put the knobs back on, these knobs at the front. They're quite a garish it's weird, I don't know why they would make them like that. They're very different to the other ones as well. On most of the Boss BX range, you know, with BX you've got like 16 channel on version of this, you know, like a full on mixing desk. They're dead noisy though, I wouldn't want to mix down 16 tracks on that, not really. It's quite intense. Let's put one of these in now. There we go. Nice. Yeah, they feel really like, you know, loose and easy to turn, not scratchy or anything. Yeah, so let's have another look at this marvel at the inside again. Yeah, it is really nice cleaning it. I'm hoping I used some thinner and then I washed the thinner off with alcohol and it really gets off the stuff, but I'm hoping that none of it went in the pots. I don't think it did though, because if the thinner gets in the pots it'll ruin them, but I did take care that it wouldn't, but yeah, it's always a little bit like, I hope that didn't go in here. You don't put it on the top side, it's on the bottom, but still some travels through somehow, you know. But you know, it wasn't loads of it going in there, it wasn't going on the open ones, and I did then flush them all out again with some fader lube again, just in case, you know, and then I've wiped up the excess fader lube that comes out, which always happens when you put it when they're still on the board, you know. Look, I'm running out of solder now. I've had that for I think like 5 years. It was like packed, you know, like it's even with the spool basically. It's like, so yeah, that's quite a lot of solder, like half a kilo or something. Anyway. Yeah, you get, you know, when you use proper solder, you get nice. That's, if it's going to focus on any of those. So, yeah, you get nice shiny connections like that. Yeah, there's some of these you can see where some of the pad has come off. It's just brown on the back side, but you still got a good connection there. If you did have to do this again and the rest of the pad came off, you can always just hardwire it to the next point, or you can scratch away the thing next to it and you can get more solder on there. So yeah, there's quite a few of them, like, so that half the pad came off, not the whole pad. It's only a single sided board though, so you can just connect it. You just connect it to the next point. You can see one there too, but it's still got a good connection. I'm going to just triple check them all, those ones now, before I turn it on.